Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me for Dev Day India. I've got a very exciting session to share with you today, so let's just jump right into it. So the title of this session is AI Agents for Serious Work, and a little bit about myself and why it's titled like that. I've been working in enterprise software development for over 20 years, and the last years with Appian specifically. Um, I want to say that AI agents, they're not the future, they're today. And I say that because I live this. Right? Every single week, I'm talking to people about how to use AI agents every single week. So it's time to get serious about how we can employ AI agents. When is it best to employ them? How to employ them? So let's start off with an overview. I'm going to do a comparison of, well, assistants, which chatbots, versus AI agents that are actually doing work, those components. Then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about the use cases. Am I going to use an AI agent every time? No, it depends on the use case. It depends on the value I receive. We'll be talking about that as well. Then I'm going to go into a live demo. We're going to show you a little bit how Appian not just thinks about utilizing AI agents, but how we actually do it, and why AI agents in process is the right approach for enterprise AI agent deployment. And then we're going to have a little fun and look to the future. I mean, how's this technology evolving? How can we make AI agents more accessible, more modular, more valuable? And that'll be the totality of our session. So with that, let's talk about AI adoption. And this is quoting information from McKinsey. People know about AI. They're adopting it at the enterprise level, but they haven't scaled it. And really, I think about it this way: they don't really know the real value of it. It's like trial and error. Trial and error is a bad business methodology and a bad development methodology or developer methodology. So, we've got some data. 88% of enterprise organizations are trying it out, but they're not employing it in a way that's both valuable and scalable. Another thing is people are a little worried. They're afraid. Do I have the governance in place, the auditability? I don't want AI making all the human decisions, things like that. So it's no longer about adoption. Is this available? It's here today. How can we employ these AI capabilities to get the value? Okay, so we'll be talking more about that. All right. Another thing is that, well, we have ways of doing decisioning and processing information. The traditional automation, I don't want to take I want to take something manual and automate it to save time, money, human effort, things like that. Really, those traditional methods are great. They've been around my entire life. But when reasoning is required, and that's why I underlined it, it's where AI agents are strong consideration. And in the past, automation can't handle I'm missing information. It's ambiguous. I'm not sure which part of the if-else statement to go down, things like that. That's been a challenge in the past. So when that happens, what happens? Something fails, or there's an exception, or a human has to get involved and debug, right, or figure out what's happening here. That takes time, money, and effort and resources. And then finally, if you have that situation where reasoning is needed, there's just not the capability to put the human touch to it in an automated fashion. So, our traditional ways, I can't do the reasoning. I don't have the context of how to do the reasoning, and I can't do it in real time. So those are things we're looking to solve with AI agents. So that begs the question, what are AI agents? And if you look at the bottom, of the screen, you get the Gartner definition. But I'm a visual learner, and I like to think of it in terms of the visualizations on top. I've got something I need to do, goals. I need the context of what needs to be done, and then the tools to accomplish that. That's what the agent needs to execute something that is valuable and useful in an enterprise application. Goals are, what does the application do? The context, what's the data? Who gets to make the decisions? And the tools are all the different components, right? The integrations, the data structures, and things like that that I need to accomplish the goal. So we're going to talk about ways to set up agents and best practices for that in terms of employing these simple methodologies to do things that are powerful at enterprise scale. Okay, let's start with the reality. Two parts of the reality is, AI adoption is high, but AI value is low. Part of this is both reality and in fiction. Most people think AI and agents are chat right now. Why is that? Because chat is ubiquitous. AI chatbots are easy to employ. They're easy to train. That's something people are familiar with. Oh, there's an agent here. Instead, I'll put an AI component into it. And the final thing is, I like to say everybody else is doing it. But the reality is when we encounter AI chatbots, I think most of us we don't like that experience. It's not empathetic. It doesn't reason. Sometimes we even try to evade. We try to use verbiage and things like that to evade the chatbot in place. So a lot of people think that that's where you're getting the value, and that's where AI needs to be. But it fails for all those reasons I talked about. You don't have that empathy. You don't have that understanding. You don't even have governance. It feels like just an open an open sandbox. Let me ask it, let's see what happens, and hopefully I can avoid things. There's really no process in a way. It's kind of trial and error and ad hoc. That ad hoc nature of AI chat is a way we want to pivot away from that and talk about ways to use AI agents in process, use AI capabilities in process. And why do we want to do that? Because we want to avoid all this. We want to avoid people trying to avoid the automation systems that I put in place. I put them in place to help the customer, but if it's not helping the customer, then I've got issues. So what are ways we can solve this with agents? The agents aren't chat. They're more than that. They're different than that. So our philosophy at Appian and my experience is AI agents work best inside of a process. The reasons for that is because you have the other components that make sure the AI gets the job done, does something valuable. I can provide structure around the AI agent components. The data is available. I have the guardrails, like who can access this, who's allowed to do what and when. And then also I can do things like analytics around that. If I've got a process, then I can audit that. I can see the places where the AI agent is doing a great job or maybe not so great, and I need to iterate over that. That's how you get value out of these agents and these components here, is putting these other pillars in place around it. Then you have something that actually does work and is not an experiment and is not ad hoc, does something valuable for an enterprise process, an enterprise application. And next thing I want to do is kind of think through this. What does this look like? We need these components, but what does that look like from a real world use case sense? So that's what I want to ask. How I said, hey, the best practice is use agents in process for all those reasons, for safety and usefulness. We have to look at the past/today and compare it to what it can and should be. I'm looking at this auto claims use case here. What does it look like yesterday and today? A human does A lot of things. Reads claim documents, runs searches, finds the information on the vehicle, looks at images. This is a lot. This is a lot. We tend to have problem focusing on all this swivel chair kind of task, but all of them are essential. All of them are essential. They have to get done or you don't have a business. But that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. It's tedious, and not many humans are like, this is awesome. I get to do all this stuff. Where do I start? And then it's taking a long time. Can we use agents in process to change the game, to make this more efficient and have the humans do the decisioning, not the manual work? For claims, it's the same thing, the same green box input. There's a new auto claim. And I'm using tools within Appian, components, application components, data components to do the exact same thing, right? It's step by step. I know what I have to do. I can just tell an agent to do it using natural language. The outcome is still the same. The outcome is the same. I get everything processed, but here's what changed. Here's what changed. Time went way down. The humans are now doing things other than these manual steps. So you gain efficiency, you gain repeatability, you'd reduce risk because, let's face it, humans fatigue. So I'm just giving you a case here, real world. We're thinking about yesterday and today and tomorrow, what this can look like. And not just what the business value is, but what the human value is. So it's just, again, I want to give the context of how agents working in a process can solve, a real world business use case. And we'll show an example of that too within the Appian platform a little bit later. Okay, so when I think about it, it's really what I've shown. We have an agent within process. The process invokes the agent when I need to do some things and ascertain some information to have an outcome. So I have some flexibility there, but I also have the level of control and the auditability, and again, the analytics, right? The pieces of the honeycomb that I showed before. The agents are going to return the information, and it says here returns decisions, but the thing is that I'm doing the work so a human can evaluate it versus the human doing all the work and doing the evaluation. These are things that are repeatable, understandable. When in process, I have those guardrails, so I have the control, right, to eliminate mistakes. And obviously, I'm not dealing with things like fatigue. And this is repeatable. I have to do the same steps over and over again. So again, I'm talking about a few ways to use agents and why using agents in process is so essential and so valuable, and those human factors. Then I also want to show like a use case. So Claim Autism has 98% faster patient intake. They're using this in their enterprise application, in production. What are they accomplishing? Scheduling, appointment setup, right? It's the same thing. Hey, I've got to get a time and see who's available and choose providers and things like that. All I'm doing is shifting the work from people who don't really want to do it to agent that just does it. What does that mean? That 98%, 6 months to 4 days, that's not a future state. That's a reality for today. Why is it? Because agents are good at this. They're good at this because they're good at this in process, right? I'm still having humans make the decision. The human still sees the patient, but all the other stuff to get to that end result where the business really makes the impact, it's a perfect place to use an AI agent. And in process, then you get this is not a chatbot. This is reality. This is helping people get what they need when they need it. I don't want to wait 6 months, 4 days, not so bad. So I talked a little bit about agents and process, why that's important, showed some, real world like processes, workflows, use cases, how somebody is using this right now. How do I build this out? What are some of the things that I need to do in order to create a useful, impactful agent? And we're going to talk through a little bit of that next, and then we're going to see what you think about it. So first off, let's take a well-defined cognitive task. It's repeatable. I understand the data sources. I understand what's involved. I do want to think about how much I want the agent to do, or a scenario where you might want to use multiple agents. I want to take an enormous enterprise end-to-end process agent, go do it. I want to take bites out of that, but make it meaningful. Not so simplistic that it's something straight through that I could just use non-AI agents for. I could use AI for, right? Write a prompt or something. So I think about this as right sizing, and we'll talk about the right sizing a bit more, but something well defined, not too enormous, but not so trivial and repeatable. Like I want to impact by reasoning, right? I want to use the AI's reasoning capabilities there. Obviously, if I'm talking about AI and process, then I need to have access to everything. And it's really simple to say, what does a human need to do? How does a human make the decision? A AI agent needs to make the decision of a human, then I need to give it access to the information and the processes that the human uses. I'm just doing it in a way that's more repeatable, more risk adverse, and faster. So I need to have those tools available. Obviously, we have to have all the security things and things that you get in terms of processes like governance. All that stuff is important here when I'm deciding when to use agents, when does it make sense? And then the final thing to say is that low error cost, high error budget. So if the agent gets something wrong, I don't want my business pivoting on that. Right? I want it to be, auditable so I can take a look and, okay, it made a mistake. I'll rewrite the instructions or I'll update the tools that it uses or the process. And that way you can get ROI without a, oh no kind of moment. And you really get the idea here that I'm talking about is that there is a very well understood area for using AI agents. And then there's other places where, I might not want to use it. That's fine. We're trying to employ the right tools to get the application useful, the most useful that we can make it. So I gave you some ingredients, if you will, for good agent use cases. Now let's evaluate some actual use cases. So here's our game. Play along with me. Is this a good agent use case? So let's start with the first one. Service request management. Okay, I'm talking about the entire process all the way from the very beginning to the very end with all the steps involved and everything like that. Is it a good use case or not? In this case, probably wouldn't want to create one agent to do that entire thing. It's a lot, right? And there are multiple touch points and things like that. Now, I will say this, I wouldn't create one AI agent to do this entire use case. I might want to break it up into multiple AI agents, right? Where that processing stuff that I don't want the human to do and searching through documents and all that, and then have human in the loop there as well, right? So I can complete this, but just one AI agent? No, I wouldn't. That's not what I would use here. Okay, second use case, quite different, invoice extraction. I'm just trying to take some structured data out of a document or form or invoice that I have, and then take that extract information and write it to another system. How about this one? Okay, this is not a great case for an agent. I have other tools available to do that. In Appian, I could use Appian Doc Center to do this quickly and automatic. I don't need to create an agent. I don't need to create an agent. This is, a very simple thing. It's completely repeatable, and we have other tools available already. I don't need to create an AI agent. Like, for instance, in Appian, I would just use Appian Doc Center. No need to create an agent. Now, after the extraction, I have to do other things. That's a good case to use an agent potentially. What next? What next? But an agent for this extraction? No, I got other tools available. No need there. Employee IT provisioning. So I've got some policies and some knowledge of who I'm supporting, and I need to assign some software and hardware and things like that. How about this in terms of an agent? Yeah, yeah. This is good, right? It's in that box, if you will. In terms of I've got some variety of inputs, but I've kind of got to do the same thing. Here's the equipment I have available, and here's the software I have available, and here's the input, the person, the location, their role, and things like that. That's repeatable. That's easy to understand, and for a human to do, that would be highly manual. Not something I want to do. I can automate that with an AI agent. That's a perfect AI agent use case. Let's go through a few more. So looking at new account validation. So I'm enrolling in a bank, and I have to compare the information they gave me to a vetting system or something like that. Okay. You probably already getting the idea. That's a great use case for an agent. And I know there's some inputs, there's going to be a little bit varied, but I'm doing the same thing over and over again. Think about what's a great case for the agent? Well, a human do this, would they enjoy doing this work? It's repeatable, but not enjoyable. That's almost always a good AI agent use case. So, this is great. I understand the process. I understand the inputs. The inputs could be varied. I understand what I need as the output as well. Great use case for an AI agent. Support email response. So, I'm just checking a knowledge base and throwing out an email back to a customer or somebody who made an inquiry. Maybe I'm doing some email triage, things like that. What do we think here? Hey, here's what I think. Be careful. Be careful. This could be, properly governed and understanding, the content that needs to be delivered. This could be a case for an agent. Hey, they're asking for this document. Here's this document, right? I could use an agent to do that. Just be a bit careful. I don't want to fall into the realm of the chatbot, where you look at something, this is an automated response, you didn't even answer my question. So you have to think about your tolerance for, customer service, customer-facing brand perception and error tolerance and things like that, So, I would say just be careful. An agent could be useful here, but there are other things that are like, I don't want to feel like I'm talking to an automated system. Nobody wants to feel that way. So, there's some considerations there. And final use case before we talk about, where things, where AI capabilities can be employed. Medical claim decisioning. I'm reviewing a policy, and I'm using an agent to approve or deny a claim. What do we think here? I think we all probably think the same, that, I think an agent could do this, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel ethical. There is governance at a legal level that does not allow this. And really, do I want the final decision made completely by somebody? Like, these decisions are very impactful, very serious. There could be the capability to assist in making the decision, but making the decision, I say this, right? Today, AI is great for completing a process the humans don't want to do. But we still want the decisions to be made by the humans. So in that case, we wouldn't employ an AI agent to make the final decision. So we've gone through some use cases, right? We've gone through some thought processes of when to use agents and maybe when not to, and maybe when to consider it. So I want to present a spectrum of what's available, in an enterprise process. There's elements of safety, right? What I'm going to hand over to the machines, the agents, if you will, and also considering a level of autonomy, versus human interaction. So just AI, not AI agents. Things that are repeatable, but I don't have to do any reasoning. I've used that term before. I don't have to do any reasoning. It's just a rote task. Data extraction and case routing. I could use AI components that are already available as I need to accomplish those things. Those are repeatable. Those are understandable. Where do agents start to get in? Right, triage, and I've got maybe a variety of inputs. I'm not so sure about the input, but I know what I want the output to be. Example is contact and triage and things like that. Hey, help me out with this. Hey, collect all this information. Again, you're going to get higher value out of AI agents there. And then finally, the last piece. Yes, we're still valuable. The humans are still valuable. AI is not replacing everything. It can't. It can't, right? So when we talk about things like case management, it's more of a human dynamic. Customer service is about service that I receive, not a response as how much the response made me feel. Did I feel taken care of? Things like that. That's critical to businesses. Perception is reality. I can use AI. I can use agents in the background to do certain things and then still have humans do the things we do best. Connecting with other humans. So, just giving the spectrum here. Agents fit in. Do they replace everything? No. Next is to think about how Appian handles this sort of thing. What is Appian's solution? We said AI in process is important. We said why. In Appian, you can embed AI agents in process. We've already talked about why that's important. The governance, the analytics, the data security, the safety. In Appian Agent Studio, which I'm gonna show you how that works here in just a moment. I can easily give the agents the tools that it needs from the Appian infrastructure, right? What's involved, what's allowed to be accessed, and then I can configure the agent, with instructions. And in Appian Agent Studio, I can do the orchestration. I can govern the process. I can audit it, and I can test it out. So I've got everything there that I need to fulfill the roles that AI agents are best at. And that's in the platform right now, today, the ability to create these things to process information. A good example is I took a document, I extracted some information. So what? What do I do with that information? I can give the tools to an AI agent, the data, the integrations, the approval steps, things like that, and then take the next step there. And you can create all of this within Appian today, and we're gonna show that here shortly. So in Appian, the AI agents are, of course, they're powerful and enterprise ready because AI agents work best in process. What are those components that support the building out of AI agents quickly and efficiently, right? You've got your process model, your visual development and design. You drop your agent into the process flow. What does that mean? I get those controls, I get the auditability, the logs and all that stuff, right? So I've got the governance there and understand where it fits, right? An AI agent may be just part of the entire process. Agents need data. What's great? Having a data fabric to provide that data, right? And the data fabric is going to provide the data in the context that the application needs to be useful, to be successful. It's the same with your AI agent. So have access in Appian to this data fabric, the semantic layer, if you will, to get the right data so the agent can do what agents do best. And then finally, of course, when we jump into demo, I'll show this. Right, we're going to be able to monitor. We're going to be able to see what the agent took as inputs, what it did, the reasoning it used, right? I keep talking about reasoning. Why'd you make this decision? And then the output. So I can easily see that in Agent Studio. What does that help me? Not just testing, but hey, this is doing what I need it to do. And it's faster. Is it doing what I need to do? I can easily see that. Oh, final step is, it's analytics feels like sometimes it's a forgotten step in process. Like I want process, but not process improvement. You need both if you want to improve, right? Technology is improving, agent, use cases and adoption is improving. Gosh, it sure would be great to measure the impact. But you have that in Appian. So you can monitor the agents, do the reporting on the processes they're involved, reporting on how fast did this go? Oh, it took 2 minutes. Oh, 2 minutes. This used to take us hours. Yeah, I know. That's something you can show to the people who run the business, not just the application. Hey, look how much better that is. So it's the same analytics and reporting that you already get for everything else you get, with an AI agent. And you get that in Appian Agent Studio. And really, so this gives us a little time to kind of show you how that works and how that's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into a demonstration. And what we're going to do here is I am in Appian Agent Studio. I'm in the configuration. I am creating an agent. Okay, how do I do that? What's important? What's needed? How does Appian approach this? How is this easy to do? Right, let's make a task that's hard easy. Also, creation of this should be easy. Here I'm taking a auto claim, and I'll make it real for you in a few moments after I show how this works. Show what the humans have to deal with here, if you will. I'm going to supply it with a claim ID and attach some documents that no human wants to read, but they have to, and maybe an official form, things like that. Just providing it, hey, what do I need to start this agent off in the process? Then what am I going to do is I'm going to give it goals and instructions. This is not code. This is natural language. Human writes this. A human can read this. All humans, right, can do that. So I'm saying, hey, this is what I want you to do. Then, right, we talked about this. Say I'm constructing an AI agent. What else? I'm going to provide it the tools, right? I've got a policy document that tells me how this has to be done. I have data. I have an Appian record. I have a rule that needs to be executed. And then I'm going to put it in, okay, I've got the instructions, got the information, let me act on it, right? So all of these things what I love about this is that, number one, instructing the agent what to do is easy. Any human can do that. And then what's available, it's what's in Appian. And sometimes people ask me, well, what if I provide it with the wrong tools and process? It won't work. It'll try. It'll give you the reasoning, but it won't work. Why is this so awesome? I can test it right away. Oh, something's not quite right here. Oh, okay, I forgot. I gave it something else, not vehicles in terms of data. So it's easy to set up. And then finally, like the outputs, like what do I want it to tell me and things like that. So very easy. I got variability of in, right? What can come in? I want you to do the same kind of thing, use the same tools, and then I need some output. So here what I'm doing is I'm just showing you how to structure this, how to create it within Appian Agent Studio. This is not a third-party tool. This is not someone else. This is in Appian, part of the platform, right? So you can create AI agents this way. I just did one yesterday. It was awesome. And I thought about how I used to do it even 2 years ago, right? And all these complex rules and decisioning and talking to people. I just wrote it. Here's your data source. Here's what I want you to do. Do it. And it did it. It's great. And And thing here, so it's kind of putting a developer perspective on it, but also here I talked about testing and governance and things like that. So here I've run this a few times and I can take a look at it and I can get information about what it did, right? We talked about auditability, or even I'm just trying to, improve this or see if it's got everything it needs, right? Here are the inputs, same thing, except it's got the actual inputs that were provided. In the middle here, it's telling you what it did, and it's giving you a full audit log. I ran through 10 steps. Here are all 10 of them. I can click in and see what it did. And the first thing, I use the term reasoning over and over again. First thing, what reasoning did I use? What did I do? What was my input? What was my output? Right? We talked about auditability. This is the full trail of what the agent did and how it thought and what it used. And you see me expanding, the details here. So you've got all that in one place. And of course, right, the output, right? What happened here? So all this is done in one place. You can set up an agent very quickly. You can test it very quickly. You can monitor it. If somebody says, hey, I don't trust AI, show me. This is what it did. Read it. Now look at code. Read it. And the final thing is that, here I'm showing you the tools. I'm showing you the capabilities. And I'm talking a little bit about, how I use these things in my job, in my day-to-day life. But in the tangible part of it is some human is looking at this document. It's an image of an automobile wreck, and okay, this document too, and oh, there's a police report. I got to look at that and pull out the information, and okay, there's an official form and all of that. I'm trying to give you the human side of what this is solving for. I created something that, there's 4 documents here. Maybe I don't even know where to start. Maybe it takes a long time. Maybe I don't have everything I need, or I don't know exactly where to look. Now I have all that. Now I have all that neatly packaged. So with that, showing a little bit of that information, how to do it in Appian, how I do things in Appian, example of a claims process here. Let's go back into the slides and pick up where we left off from. So what else is needed? What else is needed to employ agents successfully, right? And it comes down to 2 pillars. What do those mean? How do I use those things? What is this about? I got an AI agent. What else? To be successful in an enterprise application, do I need, obviously, orchestration. I'm talking about the process. Okay, an agent did something. So what? What's next? What's next? Do the humans get involved? Do I kick off another agent? Is some decisioning or things like that? That's how you get the value. An agent by itself does something. So what? What's next? This is the important part. What's next? What's the outcome? So obviously in Appian, you have that orchestration, you have that process, you have all the benefits of agents in process. The next part of it is, hey, okay, I've got the orchestration, I've got everything that I need to make AI agents useful. I need governance. I'm already a bit, a bit reticent to use AI. It's chatbots, right? No, it's not. No, it's not. You put governance around it, that auditability. I showed you some of that in the product. You log everything. I can report on everything. I can assign to the right people. For claims, it's a claims adjuster, not my front-end agent, for example. That means that everything gets done correctly. And if somebody says, hey, I don't trust AI, do you trust what you see here? Do you trust what I've shown you? And I have all that information there. So I've orchestrated the process, but I also have the governance there. That reduces risk and that reduces fear, because the results are amazing. 98% savings in time. 98%. But I've got to have these elements of trust and usefulness in order to get the value. Oh, We talked about agent building, that's just one step. And what I wanted to convey here is that, creating an agent, that's great. There's cases to use that, but you also need that governance and orchestration. And clearly, Appian provides that. That means that you have a better way of not only trusting it, but demonstrating the usefulness. Putting some governance around what you're creating. You're creating a paradigm shift that can transform a business or business process wholly. People are going to wonder how that works and if it works correctly. But when you have those attributes of governance and orchestration, then you get the buy-in, then you get the confidence, and then you get the result, and then you realize, the beauty of using agents in process. So to kind of round things out, I've got a few minutes left here, in terms of agent orchestration and what things look like here, you have to think about if it's process-centric, there's coordination, there's a structured process, okay, one area. Another area, hierarchical, right? Okay, there's a leader and then there's some sub people that are working on it, a lead agent that makes a decision and all the agents depend on it. The only issue is that the lead agent is the critical component. The sub agents, right, depend on that, right? Not as good as process-centric. And then final, one of them, the other model is networked, and that's like collaboration, like in a lab or something. People are exchanging ideas and it's more free form. And we're thinking about where do AI agents fit and where do they fit best in this, in this progression, if you will. You probably know the answer. Process-centric, that's the best area to investigate using AI agents. Hierarchical could work. When it's networked and it's kind of, not as structured, there's no process I can put around it, then agents might not be preferred. Final thing to futures, and then a few takeaways. So in the future, what's coming soon with Appian is the ability to make AI agents built in Appian more modular and enhance the connectivity. So we've all heard the word MCP, right? So Appian AI agents will be able to use any MCP ready tool. That means it's modular, that means it's accessible, that means you can leverage agents made in Appian, and you might have agents in other ecosystems, and they can all interact together. What does that mean? That means, again, more extensibility, more connectivity, more use cases, that you can use. Appian AI agents working seamlessly with agents in other platforms and other parts of your business. That's where we're going. That's coming. You're taking this amazing use of AI agents in process and extending it to your entire ecosystem. Coming all together here, right? We're not replacing the humans. We're not replacing your systems of record. We're just seeing where agents can be put in and be put in to good use here, right? So I still need data. I still need humans making decisions. I can automate some of the process intensive things that humans don't want to do. Then I can orchestrate a system, an application that works better. All right, the takeaways, very simple. We don't, agents are not just chat. Get out of the chatbot mindset. Get into that this is humans don't want to do this and it's doing it and it's amazing and it's fast and it's auditable and it's easy. Look at the AI. That's one of the focuses of this whole presentation. Look at the AI agent use cases. Know when to use it. Process-centric, complex, but not too complex, not biting the whole thing off. And the fit, then you'll get the value. And that obviously dovetails into the final thing. I would focus on the value. It's taken a long time for people to do it, and it's repeatable. Put in an agent. If it's easy to do, then I realize that value very quickly. So usually takeaways is the final slide, but a couple more here, and it's just, if you want to know more, Val's told me this, I want somebody else to tell me the same thing or with a slightly different perspective. So here's a link, how to select high value use cases for AI agents. I talked a little bit about that. Take a look, scan this. That's one of your resources there. I'm going to provide one more resource and then we'll wrap it up. All right. Another reference here, 15 operational breakthroughs for industry leaders. Another thing to scan. This is just, if you're excited, as I'm excited, as we're changing businesses today, get them out of yesterday and today, here's your way to get more information, to extend the knowledge, to get the value, and to solve these problems in a way that makes sense every time I do it. So with that, that's the end of the presentation. I think I ran the full time. I thank everybody for attending, their attention, and I hope you feel as I feel. Like we're at a moment where this can change everything for enterprise applications. And I thank you for being part of this atmosphere and culture of transformation and change.